The arrival. The vast emptiness of space shimmered as the Crixian armada emerged from hyperspace, their obsidian vessels eclipsing Earth's moon. Grand Admiral Zephyrin stood on the command deck of the flagship Eternal Dominion, his four eyes narrowing at the blue-green planet displayed on the main view screen. For centuries, the Crixian Empire had expanded unchallenged across 3 galaxies, assimilating or eradicating any civilization that refused to submit. Primitive, Zephyrin muttered, his scaled skin reflecting the ambient light of the bridge. They've barely reached their own moon, yet they reject our generous offer of protection. His second-in-command, Sub-Commander Voss, approached with a data tablet. The humans have united their communications networks, Admiral. They're broadcasting a response to our ultimatum. Let us hear their surrender, Zephyrin said, mandibles clicking in anticipated satisfaction. The view screen flickered, revealing a woman with dark skin and determined eyes. Her uniform bore insignias unknown to the Crixians, but her posture conveyed authority. "This is General Maya Santos of the United Earth Defense Council," she began, voice steady and clear. "We have received your demand for our immediate surrender and resource allocation rights. The nations of Earth have unanimously rejected your terms." Zephyrin's ridge of sensory spines stiffened in surprise. "You possess superior technology and weaponry," General Santos continued, "but you fundamentally misunderstand what you face. Humanity has never united under a single banner until this moment. Your arrival has accomplished what thousands of years of our history could not." "Such arrogance," Zephyrin hissed. "Begin the first wave of atmospheric strikes. Target their largest population centers." Within hours, kinetic rods rained down on Earth's major cities. The Crixians expected immediate capitulation. It had been the pattern with dozens of other species. Instead, their sensors detected something unprecedented. The planetary defense systems were adapting in real time, each subsequent attack less effective than the last. In a fortified bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Elena Reyes watched streams of data flow across her holographic displays. As Earth's foremost expert in quantum computing and artificial intelligence, she had spent 15 years developing a technology the world's governments had deemed too risky to deploy. "System integration at 78%, reported her assistant, Dr. Takahashi. "The neural network is learning exponentially with each attack pattern." Elena nodded, her fingers dancing across the interface. "The distributed defense grid is holding. Every household device, vehicle, and communication system connected to the internet is now part of our computational mesh." "Dr. Reyes," a voice called from behind. General Santos had entered the command center, her uniform dusty from recent evacuation efforts. "The Security Council is ready for your assessment." On a secure video conference, world leaders with haggard faces looked to Elena for hope. "The Crixians expected us to fall quickly because that's what they've experienced before," Elena explained. "But they've never encountered a species like ours. Their technology is centralized, a hive-mind approach. Humanity's strength lies in our diversity, our ability to think independently while working toward a common goal." "Can we fight back?" asked the Chinese premier. Elena's expression hardened. "We already are. While they've been bombarding our cities, we've been analyzing their attack patterns, communications protocols, and ship vulnerabilities. The global quantum network has infiltrated their systems through weaknesses they didn't know existed." In orbit, Zephyrin faced mounting confusion. 3 days of continuous bombardment had failed to break human resistance. Worse, his ships reported strange malfunctions, navigation systems recalibrating without authorization, weapons powering down at critical moments. "Impossible," he snarled, smashing a control panel. "Their technological development is centuries behind ours." Sub-Commander Voss approached cautiously. "Admiral, our cybersecurity team has detected anomalies throughout our network. The humans appear to be using our own communication relays against us." "How?" Zephyrin demanded. "Unknown, sir, but they're not attacking like any species we've encountered. Instead of concentrating their counterstrikes, They're launching millions of small-scale intrusions simultaneously from countless points around their planet. A junior officer interrupted with clear alarm. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the human leadership. They've bypassed our encryption protocols." The main screen activated without command input. General Santos appeared, now standing in what appeared to be a hardened military command center. "Grand Admiral Zephyrin." She addressed him directly, using his name and title without having been told either. "Your attack on Earth has failed. What you're experiencing now is humanity's response." Zephyrin's spines flared in anger. "This is merely the first wave, human. We have barely begun to demonstrate our power." "No," Santos replied calmly. "You deployed your most effective weapons first, as your military doctrine dictates. We've analyzed your tactical database. The Crixian Empire conquers through overwhelming initial force, breaking resistance before it can organize." Zephyrin felt a cold sensation spread through his body. How could they know this? "While you've been focused on destroying our cities, Dr. Elena Reyes has united Earth's computational resources into something never before seen in the galaxy," Santos continued. The camera panned to show a woman with intense eyes and hands that never stopped moving across a complex interface. "You believed us primitive because we still fight among ourselves." Dr. Reyes spoke directly. "You saw our diversity of cultures, languages, and approaches as inefficiency, rather than the evolutionary advantage it truly is. Your hive-mind civilization thinks linearly. We think in parallel, billions of individual minds working simultaneously on the same problem." Alarms blared across the Crixian fleet as system after system began reporting failures. Ship engines deactivated, life support flickered, and weapons platforms went offline. "What you're experiencing," Dr. Rice continued, "is what happens when 8 billion humans decide your algorithm-based society needs a rewrite." Zephyrin roared in fury. "All ships, emergency protocols. Disconnect from the central network." "Too late," General Santos said. "Dr. Rice has already uploaded the package we call Prometheus into your core systems. Your ships are now receiving new instructions." On the view screen, Dr. Rice stepped forward. "You came to conquer what you thought was a primitive world. Instead, you've awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity doesn't just fight to survive. We fight to thrive. And we've just taken our first step into the galactic community." The Crixian flagship shuddered as its propulsion system activated without command input. Throughout the fleet, ships began moving into a defensive formation around Earth, protecting rather than threatening it. "Your invasion fleet now serves a new purpose," General Santos declared. "As a shield for Earth while we prepare our next step. The message we're broadcasting to the galaxy isn't just a record of your aggression. It's an invitation to any species suffering under Crixian rule." Zephyrin's mandibles trembled with impotent rage as he realized the magnitude of the catastrophe. The mighty Crixian Empire, undone by a species that hadn't even established colonies beyond their own moon. "Remember this moment," Dr. Ray said as the transmission began to end. "When you chose war with humanity, you sealed your own fate. The empire you've built through fear will now face something it cannot comprehend: hope." As the view screen went dark, Zephyrin stared at the blue-green planet below. For the first time in his long life of conquest, he felt something unfamiliar: doubt about the future of his civilization in a galaxy where humanity had announced its presence. The counterstrike. The Crixian High Council convened an emergency session as reports of the Earth debacle spread through subspace communications. For a species that had known only victory for millennia, the sudden reversal threatened the very foundations of their society. "Impossible." Supreme Counselor Drax slammed his armored fist against the ancient stone table. "How could primitives who have barely achieved spaceflight defeat our most advanced battle group?" The gathered counselors' attention turned to the holographic projection of Grand Admiral Zephyrin, whose once proud posture now seemed diminished. From the bridge of his immobilized flagship, he struggled to explain the unexplainable. "The humans don't think like us," Zephyrin reported, his voice carrying a new emotion unfamiliar to Crixians: respect tinged with fear. They've created an entirely new form of warfare. Their planetary defense isn't centralized. It's distributed across billions of connected devices controlled by individual minds working in concert. Across Earth, humanity had entered a new phase of evolution almost overnight. Dr. Elena Reyes' Prometheus system had transformed from a theoretical project into the backbone of global defense and communication. Ordinary smartphones, vehicles, even household appliances contributed processing power to a vast neural network that constantly analyzed Crixian technology, finding weaknesses and exploiting them with creativity no algorithm could match. In the command bunker, Dr. Reyes rarely slept, sustained by determination and the knowledge that her life's work was saving her species. General Santos entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "The Security Council has approved Phase 2, Santos said, handing Elena a steaming cup. "Are you certain this will work?" Elena took a grateful sip before responding. "The Crixians' greatest weakness is their inability to comprehend our greatest strength. They evolved from hive-minded insectoids. Their entire civilization is built on conformity and centralization. Every ship, every weapon, every piece of technology connects to a single network." She gestured to a global map showing millions of points of light, each representing a human contributing to the Prometheus network. "We're the opposite," Elena continued. "Our history is defined by diversity, conflict, and adaptation. We've turned our apparent weakness, our disagreements and individuality, into an asymmetric advantage." General Santos studied the tactical displays. "They're gathering reinforcements. Our satellites detect hyperspace signatures at the edge of the solar system." Elena nodded grimly. "We expected this. The captured fleet has given us access to their military protocols. The Crixian Emperor is sending the Imperial Armada, over 1,000 ships. They'll arrive within 48 hours. Can we hold against numbers like that?" "Not with conventional defenses," Elena admitted. "But we're not fighting conventionally." Across Earth, a curious transformation was unfolding. Ancient rivalries and borders became meaningless as humanity united against an existential threat. Religious leaders prayed alongside scientists. Farmers worked with soldiers to protect food production. Children wrote algorithms that helped confound alien targeting systems. The Prometheus network had evolved beyond Elena's original design. It now incorporated human intuition and creativity alongside computational power, creating something entirely new, a symbiotic relationship between technology and human consciousness. In orbit, Zephyrin watched with growing dread as the hyperspace distortions announced the arrival of his species' greatest military force. The Imperial Armada materialized around Earth's solar system, 1,000 obsidian warships eclipsing the stars themselves. "Admiral," Sub-Commander Voss reported, "the Emperor demands your execution for failure, but offers one chance at redemption. You are to coordinate with the Armada for a final, overwhelming assault." Zephyrin's mandibles clicked anxiously. "The Emperor doesn't understand what we face. Tell him." "The transmission comes directly from Emperor Crix himself," Voss interrupted. "He arrives personally to oversee humanity's extinction. On Earth, the detection of the massive reinforcements sent waves of fear through command centers worldwide. But in the Rocky Mountain bunker, Dr. Rice smiled for the first time in days. "They've brought the Emperor," she told General Santos. "Exactly as we hoped. You wanted their supreme leader to come." Santos asked incredulously. "The Crixian civilization has one critical vulnerability we've discovered from analyzing their database," Elena explained. "Their entire society, their technology, even their genetic engineering, all derive from templates created by the first emperor thousands of years ago. Every emperor since then has been a genetic clone of the original, maintaining perfect continuity." Understanding dawned on Santos' face. Their ultimate centralization. Precisely. Emperor Crix isn't just their leader. He's the living repository of their civilization's source code. and he just placed himself within our reach. The final Crixian assault began with unprecedented ferocity. Thousands of kinetic projectiles and energy weapons targeted Earth simultaneously. For a moment, it seemed the planet would be overwhelmed, but as the attacks descended, something remarkable happened. The captured Crixian ships, still under Prometheus' control, moved to intercept, sacrificing themselves to protect Earth. More importantly, each Crixian attack revealed new data about their weapon systems, which the global network immediately analyzed and countered. In the Emperor's flagship, the massive vessel known as Imperial Dominion, Crix himself watched with mounting concern as humanity's defenses adapted faster than his strategists could respond. "Majesty," his chief scientist reported, "the humans are somehow using our attacks to strengthen their defenses. Each volley we fire becomes progressively less effective." "Impossible," Emperor Crix hissed, his ancestral memories spanning millennia of conquest, telling him no species could withstand the full might of the Imperial Armada. "Commit the reserve fleet. I want this world reduced to ash." On Earth, Dr. Reyes initiated the final phase of humanity's defense. "Prometheus is ready, General. The Emperor's ship has revealed its command frequencies." General Santos addressed the Global Security Council. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to launch our counterattack. Dr. Reyes will explain." Elena stepped forward, addressing world leaders with calm determination. "The Crixian civilization depends on absolute centralization. Emperor Crix carries within him the genetic and digital templates that control their entire species. We've developed a retroviral algorithm, a digital infection that will rewrite their core programming." "You plan to hack their leader?" the Russian president asked incredulously. "More than that," Elena replied. "We're going to rewrite their fundamental understanding of conquest and cooperation. The virus will propagate through their entire network, changing how the Crixians process information about other species." In space, the battle reached its crescendo. The Emperor committed his personal guard to a final push, believing victory was inevitable. It was at this precise moment that Prometheus launched its masterstroke. A seemingly insignificant transmission, disguised as routine fleet communications, penetrated the Imperial Dominion's defenses. Within seconds, it reached the Emperor's neural interface, the biological computer that connected him to the entire Crixian civilization. Emperor Crix convulsed as the human algorithm infiltrated systems unchanged for millennia. Throughout the Crixian fleet, weapons powered down as the virus spread exponentially through their network. What is happening?" the Emperor gasped, feeling his perception shift as the human code rewrote his understanding. For the first time in his existence, Emperor Crix began to comprehend something alien to his species: empathy. The retroviral algorithm didn't destroy Crixian consciousness. It expanded it, introducing concepts of cooperation and mutual benefit that had been deliberately engineered out of their species. The assault on Earth ceased abruptly. Ships hung motionless in space as their crews experienced a fundamental transformation in thinking. From the Rocky Mountain bunker, General Santos and Dr. Reyes composed humanity's final transmission, not just to the Crixians, but to all spacefaring civilizations monitoring the conflict. To all who received this message, General Santos began, her image broadcasting across thousands of alien communication channels. Earth has defended itself against unprovoked aggression, not through superior firepower, but through the unique strengths of human civilization. Our diversity, our creativity, and our capacity for both conflict and cooperation. Dr. Rice continued, "We could have destroyed the Crixian fleet and their civilization. Instead, we chose to transform them. The algorithm now spreading through their network introduces concepts their rigid hierarchy deliberately suppressed: empathy, cooperation, and mutual growth. Emperor Crix himself appeared beside them in the transmission, his posture changed, mandibles relaxed in an expression never before seen in Crixian history. I speak now to all species in the galaxy," the Emperor said, his voice carrying new harmonics of humility. For millennia, the Crixian Empire has known only conquest. Today, we have encountered something more powerful than domination: the human capacity for transformation. They have not destroyed us, but given us the ability to see beyond our limitations. General Santos concluded the transmission with humanity's declaration to the stars. Earth now steps onto the galactic stage, not as conquerors like those who attacked us, but as innovators and bridge builders. To any civilization watching this conflict, know this: when you threatened our existence, you sealed your own fate, but that fate may not be destruction. It may be evolution. As the transmission ended, Dr. Rice looked at the stars visible through the bunker's observation dome. "Do you think they'll come in peace now?" she asked Santos. The general studied the tactical display showing Crixian ships withdrawing from Earth orbit, forming a protective perimeter against potential threats from deeper space. "I don't know," Santos replied honestly, "but I'm certain of one thing: the galaxy will never be the same now that humanity has made its presence known." In the vastness of space, species across 3 galaxies received Earth's transmission, watching with fascination and trepidation as humanity announced itself not through conquest, but by transforming their would-be conquerors. For the first time in galactic history, expansion by force faced an alternative: a species that turned enemies into allies through the power of interconnected human minds. The age of Crixian dominance had ended. The age of humanity had just begun.